record on this computer. And now we'll go live. To group, daily life.
Damn. So do you just do like 3 Zoom screens and then do one as a screen share?
What do you mean?
Or like to have it pop up into the group?
No, Zoom automatically takes you to Facebook and it picks up your login credentials and you can say where you want it to have.
Oh, wow.
My office setup, I have 2 screens, so I can.
That makes sense. I'm just on my laptop. My regular workstation is 2 screens. Since I've been working from home.
Okay, just putting in the description. This is a pain in the ass.
Sounds like it. Ugh.
This is the cup I got from Facebook when we went to LA, part of my swag bag.
Oh. I'll say, wait, you went to one of those group conventions that they do?
No, they sent my son and I over. Hold on, it says we're streaming live, but I don't see anything in the group. Hold on.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, guys. June 13th. You asked for it. Corey tried to duck it. We have Corey Decker's Ask Me Anything AMA. So, Corey, you ready to go?
Yes.
All right, kind of just let the folks log on a little bit. Are you nervous?
A little bit. There's a lot of... I don't remember anybody else getting this many deep, like, thought-provoking, philosophical questions.
Well, that was the purpose behind these Ask Me Anythings, is that, you know, folks can indeed ask you anything and get to know you as deep as folks will allow us to. And I think these have gone very well. I think that folks have opened up, and in general, I just think this group has become a nice therapeutic space from all the bullshit that's going on in the world and in our lives. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing.
No, definitely.
All right, so let's see. Okay, let's mute that. All right, Vince is with us, so let's start asking some questions, and then hopefully folks will start hopping on.
Okay.
So let's go something simple, a nice little layup. Name your favorite thing to do for fun.
Favorite thing to do for fun? Travel. There's a lot of places in Arizona to explore. Sedona, the Grand Canyon. So I think my favorite thing is just to go out in the open and adventure a little bit.
Did you, what is your favorite place to travel outside of Arizona?
Outside of Arizona? Fuck. It's hard to pinpoint because I've been to so many states, but I'll just go with my home away from home, San Diego, California.
Nice. That's always good. Okay, let me just maximize the screen. All right. What's your favorite place that you've actually traveled to?
That wasn't the same as the last question?
Nope.
Favorite place that I've actually traveled to? I like Disney's Castaway Cay. It's their private island on their cruises. It's gorgeous. The water is super clear and it's white sandy beaches. It's amazing.
I never heard of that before, and that's on their cruises?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
You have to go one out of Florida. As long as you don't catch whatever Florida man has, you can go out and see it.
Or Florida in general, whatever Florida has.
Exactly.
All right. If money were no object, what features would you have in your dream home? Or I guess let me expound on that. What would your dream home look like?
It'd probably be an open concept, maybe like an Italian design with make it look straight out of Tuscany. But
Hmm.
the real secret, I had a nice kitchen and everything, but I'd like to build it underground and have an elevator go down to a massive car collection. But
Okay.
you'd never know it was there because it was built into the rock.
I kind of like this. What kind of cars would be there?
Um, if money were no object, and I think that there's a favorite car question in here somewhere. The first one would be a '69 Boss 429 Mustang in Grabber Blue. Um, Probably a '65 Shelby Cobra, maybe a '67 Chevelle, '55 Bel Air. Uh, Fuck. Maybe one of those old Camaros.
Lots of American muscle.
Lots of American muscle. Only imports that I would have would probably be an Audi R8. I think those are cool. Um,
Audi R8s are beautiful. I playfully looked at one and then I closed the computer screen when I saw the price.
yeah, that happens to me every day.
No Italian imports, no Ferraris or anything like that.
I don't mind Ferrari. I think I'd pick Lambo if I went Italian.
Okay.
What scares me is they're beautiful cars, but I learned that with Lamborghinis, it costs about $500 for an oil change because of the special jack that they have to put under and everything, and
It's
that kind of
actually it's way more than that. But yeah, maintenance is hella expensive. It's one of those things. If you can afford it, then you don't worry about the maintenance. If you worry about the
yeah,
maintenance, you can't afford it.
yeah.
But yeah, they're definitely expensive to have.
And like a lot of the cars that I want to own, I want to like work on and be able to. Oh, I got a cold air intake for it, and I'm gonna put it on. Those
Right.
Italian sports cars, I don't know where to begin.
Nice. Where did you meet your wife, Tam Ray?
We met at GCU. We met the day before the first day of classes. Um, I saw an advertisement for club baseball, and I thought it was baseball club because I'm not athletic. I mean, maybe if it was running down a couple of McDonald's and ordering off the dollar menu, I'd be in for that. But I was lost, and I was wearing an Angel shirt at the time, and she said, "Hey, you, I like your shirt," and it all just kind of started from there.
Hey, you, I like your shirt is universal code for I want to jump your bones.
Yes.
What was your first date?
um, so she's from. I get in. I not as much as Vince does, but I kind of get in trouble with this because I only gave her 15 minutes to get ready because I got some bad advice from a friend, and I wanted to give her a taste of home, so I looked for TGI Fridays, but the only one in Arizona is inside Chase Field.
Pretty cool.
So we went there and we ate inside the ballpark, and we had the view of uh, the grass and everything on the field. So that was cool.
Yeah, that's one park I want to visit. I haven't been yet.
Oh, it's not bad. I don't think I'd put it on the same level as say Fenway,
Fenway's
but
trash. Fenway is horrible, man. Fenway's historic, and that's about it.
oh man, I know I couldn't do Yankee Stadium when I went.
Why not?
So many, so many advertisements. Like
Oh, that's everywhere. Yeah.
me with ADD. Like I just kept looking towards the outfield,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know,
Now, is this the new stadium or the old stadium?
knew.
Okay.
And I actually got a Mariano Rivera shirt that day. So
Oh, I like that.
yeah.
So, when did you know that she was the one?
Uh, I knew about a month or two in.
Wow.
Um, it took a lot longer for her, but I can't really pinpoint it. I just know it was a month or two in, and I think it had something to do with how she is with kids. Because obviously she's a dance teacher and a preschool teacher, and she she's excellent with kids. And I know that my future wife, I wanted to be great with kids.
That's awesome. We got to get her to do one of these. Add her to the list.
Yeah, and she's been commenting on everybody else's, so she's allowed.
Yeah, I saw her as she left, and I'm like, why is she leaving? She's supposed to be asking questions. She's supposed to be here and confirming if some of these stories are true or not. How did you propose to her?
There's actually a video of this. I took her back. Um, I did a whole day, and I misread that the Phoenix Symphony was doing Disney songs. So we went downtown and we ended up having to kill a whole bunch of time. Then it started raining. Then we finally got back to where we had our first date. And I was nervous the whole time, and I had some friends secretly come in and film it and everything. I could drop the link on the AMA for the actual video.
That'd be cool.
And I took her down because Friday's Front Row, there's the restaurant, and then there's a couple of sections. And then I went down to the bottom one, and I proposed right there.
Very nice. And you have it on video.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. I don't have mine on video.
Well,
That's
Tamara's
awesome.
She's kind of mad at me for having it on video because she threw a bunch of boneless wings when I proposed.
Oh, that's great. You definitely have to drop that link then. That's funny. So let's go here. A car question. If all vehicles were street legal and money was no object, what vehicle would you drive to work? That comes via John Gray.
2014 Dodge Ram 2500 Cummins with straight pipes.
Oh, you're going big boy on us.
Yeah. I love trucks.
I see that. If you could change anything about yourself, what would it be? Physically.
How much time do we have for this video?
As much as we need.
If I could change something about myself, physically, my wife's giving me so that's a good sign. Fuck. I mean, I think I'd like a stronger back because I wrecked mine when I used to own my own moving company. So I think if I had to change one thing physically, I'd like a stronger back.
Wow, okay. You can't just drop that you own the moving company and expect us to go on without a follow-up.
Well, I mean, I didn't have trucks or anything, but my thing is that I looked at the prices in high school of the cost of 2 men in a truck and a couple of my other competitors.
Mm-hmm.
And I would work with realtors and say, if you offer me and my friends with a U-Haul, that's cheaper on you for paying for a realtor, and they also have the luxury of being able to rent their own truck whenever they want it and return it 24 hours and all that. So we provided the labor with that, and that was the entire business.
And what happened to it?
I gave it up because it was starting to get towards my senior year, and I really wanted to make sure I was focusing on my schooling, and that business took up a lot of time. So
you're senior year in high school?
Yeah. That's
pretty impressive. What made you want to own a business in high school? I mean, most high school kids are too busy trying to get laid or doing dumb shit. What drove you to own a business?
I've always felt called as a leader. And I think part of the reason why I wanted to own my own business in high school, I don't want to anymore after having actually done it. But my dad's an entrepreneur. My dad has 3 businesses. I think at one time he had 4 or 5, so I wanted to emulate that.
That's pretty cool. All right, so that's a good question there. I'm going to give you Lince's layup because we both know what he wants you to answer. What is your favorite body part on yourself?
Favorite body part? Right here.
Is it the same size?
I mean, how many tape measures do we have? No.
Oh, there you go. You have any left over from the moving company? All right. I know you were opposed to doing these AMAs via video, which Vince and I would privately kick your ass on.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
No, we would tell you, in a group.
Yeah.
So why were you opposed to video AMAs, and what made you change your mind about doing your own on video?
I think I was opposed to video AMAs because there's not a lot of people that would come in, and I liked whenever a member would do an AMA to sort of give them the leeway of being able to come and go as they pleased,
Right.
so to speak. And I originally thought that you guys were saying one or the other, but I think with both it's better off. Plus, I was against it because they're kind of a nightmare to schedule and everything, especially with time zones.
So you realize that they work perfectly.
Yeah, after Vince's.
Well, we said one of us would be the guinea pig.
Yeah.
So this comes via Freddie. I don't know the backstory. I'm pretty sure that there is a backstory. His question is, has Josh Jins ever apologized?
Oh, fuck. So the answer to that is no. And the backstory is Freddie and I met in this baseball trash talk group called MLB Trash Talk. The
No
MLB,
free plugs. No free plugs.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, that's good then. We have our own baseball group, remember.
No. Baseball Life is 10 times the group that group ever was. But we met in this baseball group, and there was this St. Louis Cardinals fan named Josh Gines, and his spelling was always atrocious, and there was something that we just couldn't put the finger on, but he had this kid that had cancer, and we had the whole group, we had the hashtags, we raised like $700 or $800 for him, only to figure. And then I ended up asking another life group member, Brian Horsewood, some questions because I noticed that Josh Gines was pretty about his kid having cancer and would always kind of force the financial part of it. So I ended up figuring out, me and a couple of other members, that he was faking his kid having cancer. He didn't even have his kids. So with all the information, I put it all together and I called him out. The next day, in the admin group of that group, he made a post acting like his daughter, saying that I killed him because I made him so mad he went out in the middle of the forest in South Carolina in September and he died of hypothermia.
Dude has problems.
Yeah. No, he's never apologized to me or several other. I'm not even sure what happened to him, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a hell of a story, and the guy sounds like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So you posted a photo of Josh Allen. Is that the Josh Allen?
No.
That I was about to get real good, especially after the football podcast yesterday with Matt.
No, that's not Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback. That's my friend of now 20 years.
20 years. How old are you, Corey?
I'm turning 24 in August.
You're a baby. August what? Leo babies.
16th.
August 16th. That is my daughter's birthday.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
It's either the 16th or the 18th. Either way, I'm sure my wife will correct me via text message shortly if it's not the 16th. One of the questions were, how did you become an admin? I don't remember the answer to that. I'm sure Vince might, if he puts it. I don't remember how we chose you to be an admin, but there's so much shit that happens behind the scenes.
I don't remember the exact story, but I think I did what I what I call LeVar balling it, and I sort of spoke it into existence.
Well, we have we choose admins. Initially, they were kind of like ceremonial things, but as we got bigger and more groups started to evolve, we realized that we need people who are involved and who are perfect for whatever the group is tackling subject wise. So with daily life, we've kind of been, it started off as a joke, whereas we would say we need a life group to cover everything that's not covered in the sports groups. And we were playing with it, and we just kept going back and forth, and we finally decided to go with it. Again, I don't remember how we chose you, but I'm glad we did. You've been a really good admin, very active. Um, so I just want to thank you on behalf of our admin team.
Thank you.
Now, one of the things that folks may not know is that the AMAs is your brainstorm. That's your baby. You came up with it. It was your idea. You came to us and said, hey, I'd like to do this segment where we ask folks anything. And we kind of took to it kind of rapidly. So what was your inspiration or the reasoning that you wanted to do the AMAs?
I'm a big proponent in building community. I noticed with a life group that there needs to be a little bit of maybe trust or camaraderie between the members. And I just think there's still a long way to go. But donuts coming up. But I thought that the AMAs would be a good way to build interpersonal relationships within the larger community. And within those interpersonal relationships comes a stronger and more active group. So that's mainly the inspiration behind it.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Daily Life is kind of our exclusive group. We don't let anyone in. We, like Corey said, it's a big trust factor. So if you're in Daily Life, consider yourself lucky. That is all of our safe spaces where I think we can be honest, open with one another, and it is a therapeutic space. So we're definitely picky of who we let in. Now, let's get to some deep questions. What is your religious background?
My religious background is I'm a Christian, but I wasn't always a Christian. Growing up, and I'm sure Vince is watching, he could name my cousin that kind of pushed me away from Christianity. She's pretty active on my page. So I always knew there was a God, but then once I got into GCU and I noticed not all Christians are douchebags, that I sort of adopted it and grown with it, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made.
That's awesome. So what is your family's religious background?
Fairly Christian. My dad and mom didn't go to church much. My mom is kind of everything, even though she's gone to church with me since I've started going. I have a large sect of my dad's side that's religious fanatics, I would say. It's like more Pentecostal Christians and Baptist Christians and stuff like that. So that's probably where a lot of that comes from.
Okay. Now, Vince asked a hell of a question. He
Okay.
said you referenced talking to God before. What does that feel like for you? Have you and Tamara ever talked to him together or simultaneously, excuse me? And is it an external thing or an internal thing?
Definitely internal. Like there's no hole in the ceiling. God's not like, hi.
No, I don't think he means that. I think he means like there are some folks who pray and they pray vocally, out loud versus, kind of in their head.
No, I've done both. Tamara and I, we pray together. We play together over every meal, and whenever we have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of times when I've heard God speak back, it's it's been at church during worship time, and I kind of sometimes I hear an audible voice that's mine, but I know it's not my thought because I don't know where the thought came from because it comes from wisdom that I don't have yet. If that makes sense.
That's pretty interesting. Do you have any particular moment that stands out? Something that you recall hearing?
So last year, right after my wife and I got married, we had to live in my dad's man cave because the job market was tough. Um, and every day we would pray to get us out of the man cave. And eventually I got to the point where I was frustrated and I started praying to uh, give me a rope. God, throw me a rope because I feel like I'm drowning here. And there was one time where we were at church after I was praying that a lot, and I heard this thought that said, "I'm gonna throw you a rope."
Wow.
And a couple months later, I didn't like the job, but I got us one that got us out of the man cave. So,
I mean, that's pretty deep. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
All right, so let's switch it up a little. If you could visit one historical site in the United States and one abroad, what would they be?
Um, One in the United States that I've never been to that I've always wanted to go to is Fort Sumter. I think that's cool to see where, supposedly the war started. I know there's people that go back and forth about where it actually started. But I'd love to be on the island of Fort Sumter and just stand there and look out. As far as abroad, I would like to. Where was that they stormed at the beginning of the French Revolution? Is that the Bastille? Yeah. I'd like to go to the Bastille abroad because I love the
Nice.
French Revolution.
Very nice. Name three things you'd love to accomplish in life.
Um, I'd like to be a homeowner. I'd like to be a good father, and I would like to be able to quit my day job and write books full time.
That's a nice segue. So, what is your wife and yours plans with family?
Um, it's in God's hands. I mean, in a matter of speaking, we've taken off all the safeguards.
All right, so you have fun.
Yeah, they're asking about having kids, son.
We're asking about having kids, and you're letting us know you don't use condoms. I get it.
Yeah.
Ideally, how many children would you like to have?
2 or 3, preferably.
Nice. I will tell you in advance, as a father of two, that children are the greatest gift you can receive. And it changes your life, and it is the most rewarding experience. So,
Nice.
you also mentioned, you mentioned writing a book, that you like to write books. I know you have written a book.
Yes.
How did that come about, and what is the book about?
Well, before I actually finished it, I had a bunch of half-written books. Um, but I took a screenwriting class in college, and I got this whole story arc ready, set, and ready to go. And I was just so excited about it, and I was mad because in the screenwriting class, because they didn't want to be inundated with 100-page stuff, they had us restricted to 30 pages. But there was a lot that it was in the screenplay that I really wanted to add context to.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the story and I wrote a book based off of it. It's centered around Roxanne. She's a divorcee from New York City, and she moves to this small town in Missouri, closer to her friends. And she just wanted to get away from the hustle and bustle, and everything in the city reminded her of her ex-husband. She wanted to get away from that. So she gets in this small town, and she meets a guy but the leader of the local church learns that she has a divorce, and he feels like he needs to carry out God's punishment, so he ends up kidnapping Roxanne. And for the rest, you're gonna have to buy the book.
I mean, it's pretty interesting. It's definitely interesting. It's something that I would read. Please drop that link in the
Yeah,
comment section so that folks can pick that up.
and it's short. I got a little too excited about halfway and sort of rushed the ending. But I'm gonna keep it that way. That way, if I have or when I have kids in the future, or I have fans of some sort, I'll say, look at my first book and look at my latest book. You
Of
have
course,
to have progress,
absolutely. So you have one last meal. What would it be?
If I could do it from anywhere in the United States, it would be a ribeye steak from the Big Texan in Amarillo, Texas.
Very nice. What are the sides?
Mac and cheese, mashed potatoes with brown gravy.
Ooh, double carb, my kind of man.
Yeah.
You're in a foxhole with three people. Who would they be?
Anybody in history, I take it?
Anyone in your life.
Anyone in my life. If I'm in a hot
I'll tell you
yeah.
what, give
Yeah,
me
yeah.
both. Give me three in your life and three historical.
Okay. The three in my life would be my wife, my best friend Josh, and then probably his wife, because I'm pretty resourceful, at least what I've been told. He has a military background. I love my wife, and she's good at calming. And then my best friend's wife is a nurse.
Okay, so a lot of resources.
Yeah.
So
Um,
foxhole orgy, got you. And three historical.
so that's a tough one. Um, is the point to get out of the foxhole, or is it you're in a foxhole and you're stuck forever?
It's whatever you interpret it to be.
Well, since I interpret it as you want to get out of the foxhole, I'm gonna go with. Damn, that's difficult. Because I know who I'd like to hang out with, but I don't know. Uh, fuck, that's a difficult question.
I stumped
Uh,
you.
yeah, yeah, because
All right,
there's
you
a
want it?
lot of.
What you want it? We'll get back to it.
Okay.
All right. Great question here. What's your favorite book in the Bible and why?
My favorite book in the Bible is probably James. I just feel like if you haven't read the Bible, I still haven't read the whole thing. I'm still learning and growing. But I feel like the book of James has so much wisdom that you don't need a ton of context for. So that's probably my favorite book in the Bible. I had.
All right, good. Yeah. What are you most confident in yourself?
Uh, there's not a ton that I'm confident in, but I'm gonna say leadership abilities. Because for some reason my dad and I both have this thing that people like to turn to us for, well, anything. It's kind of annoying, but the way that my dad and I talk, we can portray ourselves as very confident without, even though we have no idea.
Hmm.
So because of that, I've been chosen as a leader for a lot, and any project that I've ever been a leader of has never gotten lower than a 92. So
Awesome. So for me, I'd like to tell you that where you're at your age are you're light years ahead of anyone that I have ever seen at your age. You at your age would put me at my age to shame. I didn't grow till I was in my 30s. I say that because I think you need to give yourself a little more credit. I don't think you truly realize how great of a person you are, with your abilities to listen to people, to express your opinions, to be open, to be emotional. And I think you sell yourself a little short. And I would encourage you to work on your confidence because you're a lot better than you give yourself credit for.
Thank you.
You know, you've done a lot of things at your age that people don't do in a lifetime. So, you know, I know my first interaction with you was kind of playful banter and it was sports related. I can't remember where.
Probably a
Versus
baseball
now,
game.
and yeah, and I can tell you that who you are as a man, you probably don't realize your greatness. And I think you should take a look in the mirror and be proud of who you are. And when you're 30 and 40 years old, you're going to look back and you're going to say, damn, I was a pretty badass dude in my 20s. So I would say give yourself a lot more credit and be a lot more confident because you're light years ahead of where you should be. I mean, you had a business in high school that, you know, if you really sit back and you look at the things that you've accomplished, things that you know you want, versus where you're at, I mean, like I said, you're light years ahead of what you are giving yourself credit for. So
Thank you.
trust me, you're there. You're on the right path and you're destined to do great things, whatever that may lead you to.
Thank you.
Um, you know what? I'm going to ask this question. I had it written down. It's one of my questions, and since I just addressed it, what do you feel is your biggest insecurity?
Again, there's a lot. uh, I think that my biggest insecurity is either as a husband or as probably as a husband, because I know there's another one, but I can't think. Um, and the reason I say as a husband is because I have a lot that I need to work on. There's a lot of stuff that I've carried from my childhood into my marriage that really wreaks havoc a little bit. Like Tammy and I are fine, but there are a couple of things that I will click into because of all the things that happened to me growing up. So,
You mentioned it, so it's a great segue. What was your upbringing, and how has that shaped you as a man?
um, so born in '96, 2007, my parents divorced. Uh, my dad worked hard his entire life. So he was in a semi for most of my youth. Um, providing for us, and he would do real estate and everything else. Um, but a lot of times I would be home with my mom and sisters. And then 2007 hit, and there's the divorce. And then fast forward a couple of years, and I'm afraid to go to either house because if it's at my mom's, I don't know. I mean, it's a lot better now, but I wouldn't know what kind of mood my mom would be in that day. Um, so I had to walk on eggshells for a lot of my time over at my mom's, and then I would go over to my dad's, and I would get berated for not helping out with certain things uh, um, around the house because I had homework and stuff like that. Because I had a life outside, um, I would get emotionally and every once in a while physically abused, uh, basically for having a life outside of the house.
Right.
It shaped me because I look back and I see everything that was behind. I've forgiven both parents for that. Um, but it's one of the things where I look at a lot of people and I see pain. I don't see like, oh, you're so stupid. So like, I know you've asked, and it wasn't an AMA, but I'm gonna address it anyway. I keep a lot of the people on my friends list because I see their pain And if I cut them off, it's like I don't hear them anymore.
It's a hell of a perspective.
Thank you.
Never thought about it that way. Now, you mentioned your dad, and I know you, in private chats, your dad comes up a lot. And from what I've seen in interactions on Facebook with him, he doesn't seem to be the nicest person around. um, if you had to kind of describe your relationship with your dad, how would you?
We're on good terms now. My dad and I have gotten into some serious back and forths, mainly because, well, there's a whole lot of reasons and a whole lot of stuff with my other family where I've been put in the middle. It's a really tense relationship, but it's also, we get a lot out of being around each other, and we like being around each other. Every once in a while, we do have some pretty serious blow-ups, in my opinion, over the dumbest thing. Like, not that there's a ton of people that know about Arizona politics, but Matt B will know who I'm talking about. Last year, there was a really tight Senate race between Martha McSally and Kristen Sinema. Sinema was a Democrat, and McSally's a Republican. I voted Sinema, and my dad called me a flaming liberal idiot.
And your response to that?
Dad, did you look at our policies?
Right.
Because Cinema at the time, and she's still, I haven't seen anybody locally work across the aisle as much as Cinema does, like, since I've been following politics. So
you grew up a conservative, and you're still a conservative, correct?
I'm conservative leaning, yes.
Okay. I do give you a lot of credit. I think you are one of the better folks I've seen at having your beliefs or which way you lean and kind of saying, well, this makes sense on the other aisle. You're really good at that, and I give you a lot of credit for that.
Thank you.
And I know that kind of leaves you in this space where your conservative friends or family kind of bash you if you do that on this aisle. And if you go the other way, Trump support or some sort of extreme politician, you kind of get it on the left side. So how do you balance that?
Everyone can go fuck themselves. No, I'm
My
kidding.
man, my man, no, that is the
No.
right fucking answer. That is the right fucking answer.
I mean, because there's a lot of people that I trust on both sides, but like I said before, I see pain and I see perspectives, and I know that there's a lot that happens to people growing up that make them lean one way or the other. So I kind of just let it go by because, one, I'm not going to change anybody's minds. And the reason I'm not going to change anybody's minds is because there has been so much in that person's life that would make them lean a particular direction.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now, you did vote Trump in 2016, correct?
yes.
Do you plan on voting Trump 2020?
No idea. I have to decide if I'm voting first.
What made you lean towards Trump in 2016? This is a two-part question.
Okay.
And how do you feel about Trump now versus 2016?
So this is gonna be kind of dumb, but I promise there's a reason behind it. The Celebrity Apprentice was like my show, and there's always a little bit at the end, either right before or right after he fires somebody, when it would give him a little bit of time to just talk. And there was a lot of times where I was watching that and I'm like, he has some pretty good ideas. obviously he wasn't at the end of the apprentice saying, let's build a wall, let's do this, let's do
Hmm.
that. It was very concrete business thoughts. So I'm like, okay. And then I heard he was running, and I was ecstatic because I watched that, and so I was happy to vote for him. I still have a Trump hat from way back when.
Made in China.
Actually, no. Mexico.
Afghanistan? No, even worse.
But and I voted for him ever since he took the pregnancy. Um,
Go Tam Ray!
she's off at work now. Ever since he took the presidency, he's a bad leader. He's a really bad leader. But the reasons that I voted for him, he's done. So I can't be too mad, I guess. But as far as what I'm gonna do this year, I have no idea.
All right, good. Now you speak of your dad a lot.
Yeah.
Um, you don't speak much of your mom. What about your mom, and how has she played a role in your upbringing?
Um, my mom's a very kind person. She's a very generous person. Her and my dad are both generous people. A lot of my softer side comes from my mom. My dad's pretty rigid, except for when he needs to be soft, but um, she's not completely, but a lot of my more touchy-feely stuff comes from my mom. And growing up with mainly nothing but girls in the house outside of my dad. So I think my mom is one of the most caring people ever. Like, one story, a couple of weeks ago, I finally got a pair of Jordans. I've been after them forever. I had it all budgeted out and everything. I had it cleared through Tambray, and I was with her one day, and I kept seeing it out on Facebook, and I had some time to kill. So we went with there, and I went to go and look at them and touch them and try them on and everything. And I said, okay, cool. So then I put it on the counter, and I slowly start to get out my wallet and everything. And I get the card, and he reads the total, and then she swipes in and puts her card in the thing and buys them. And I'm like, I didn't bring you here just so you could buy me shoes, but I appreciate it.
That's awesome. So, who would you consider yourself? Who would you consider the most influential person in your life?
My dad,
Okay, good, good, good.
100%. Because it's not seen on Facebook because politics,
Hmm.
but my dad is one of the most charitable and generous people ever. Like, and
No,
it's
I get it. I think politics has a way of bringing a different side in people out. It doesn't mean that they're bad, or it has a way of rearing the ugly side of people, because a lot of people, when it comes to politics, they only believe what they believe to be the right thing. So I get it.
yeah,
But yes, your dad does come across as an asshole on Facebook.
I know. That's why
What
I
I
don't
do,
see
what
him
I do
post a lot.
love, what I do love is that when he is that asshole on Facebook, I don't know if you've picked up on it, but you kind of have the life group backing, where everyone kind of like gets your back. And I
Yeah,
think he senses that, and he kind of backs down a little bit, or he plays down. Oh, it was tongue in cheek, and I love that. We have your back, and he kind of knows, like, oh, this dude has the fucking squad behind him. Like, let me chill. I thoroughly enjoy that shit every time I see it happen.
yeah.
All right. So, quick question: who's your favorite admin in the groups?
And all of them, everybody says this, but he deserves it. I mean, I think of you as like the creator, so you're on a different level than just admin.
Hmm.
It's got to be Vince. And I think that there's a lot that happens behind the scenes that I see that I don't think he gets a ton of credit for. And, I know I've had disputes with other admins, and he's always been a really calming, peacekeeping um, persona.
Hmm.
And the willingness that he has to give people second chances is inspiring.
He's very good with that for sure.
Yeah.
No, I look at Vince and Felipe as kind of like if something happened to me today, who would I want to run these groups? And those are the two that, you know, I would want to carry on and make these things larger and they're what I believe in terms of leadership. I don't ever say, hey, this is my thing. I always say this is an us thing. I always preach, we make decisions as a group.
Yeah.
And I think that those two guys are the epitome of that. And I think those two guys are keep a lot of this going. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that even you don't see in some of the other admin chats that we balance and we do it well. So Vince is not a bad selection on your behalf. So here's the obligatory "What do the life groups mean to you?" question.
I think that they've started to mean more. I think they've daily life, especially, has started to mean community. I originally went into, I think I started in baseball life, and then I was also in football life, but I didn't realize the two were connected. But I started in baseball life because to me, there was finally a place that you could talk baseball without cockfighting, like you see in a lot of these trash talk groups, where they like take porn and they like put a team's logo on it or some shit, and you're like,
Yeah.
I want to talk about ERA and shit. I don't want to talk about what gay porn you watch in the middle of the night. Like, but no, they're starting to mean more and more to me the longer that I'm in, and especially the longer that I'm admin and that I get messages from members about just random things. Matt B and I had a political talk the other day where he said, if the election ended tomorrow, where would I vote? And I told him, and we had a decent conversation about that.
Good. Yeah, we have a lot of dialogue off screen with one another, and I love that because,
Yeah.
I think these Facebook groups have created virtual friends that have become real friends.
Yeah.
I know a lot more about a lot of guys, and then people seek counsel from me. I don't know why, but but they everyone is kind of everyone else's Dr. Phil in essence, and I love that.
Yeah.
One person might click with, like you said, Matt, and another person might click with Felipe, and whatever the case is, they have someone that they can turn to and say, "Hey, this is what's going on. Can you help me?"
Yeah.
What is your favorite group outside of daily life?
Baseball life, definitely. This group outside of the life groups, I don't even know.
No, I meant like life groups. Yeah.
Oh, baseball life, definitely.
So I'm going to ask you two questions, which were probably two of my favorite questions that we got in the group. By the way, guys, whatever we don't answer here, Corey will go back and answer in written form on the page.
People actually say.
So here's one question from Brad that I loved. His question is, what's it like being in a groups full of people who are mostly somewhere on the left politically, while in real life, it seems like you're around a lot of people who lean right? That comes from Brad.
I love that question too. I don't know if he's watching, but I love that question. It's a bit um, it's a bit frustrating, um, only because I don't I don't like I don't like physical group superiority of any kind. I'm a big compromise person. Um, People have asked me why I wanted to vote for Tulsi, and it's because of how she voted with the whole inauguration thing or impeachment thing.
Mhm.
Um, so it's kind of something. It's a bit frustrating because I go I go in real life and you know all those liberals blah blah blah, but I know I know you guys in these life groups that are liberals and like they're fantastic people. And then I go and there's a lot of left leaning stuff that's shitting on conservatives, and I'm like, well, I'm conservative, and I know people that are conservatives that aren't the people that you make them out to be. No, it's kind of like with this whole Black Lives Matter thing, and it annoys me that people won't listen to these people. You know, Tamara and I almost went on a march um, last week. We almost did a protest, but her work kept her late, so we couldn't make it there and back before Arizona's curfew. So,
Good, good. Now, here's my favorite question. Probably the deepest question. What convinces you that God is real, and that comes from Meredith?
oh
Who, by
man,
the way, who playfully just said, "Do you have a beard because you're religious, or you're just too lazy to shave?"
I'm actually I actually trimmed. I like having a beard because I don't know. I need to trim it some more. Um, so
So,
what
what
convinces?
convinces you God is real?
Okay, what convinces me God is real is my own existence, and I say that because science. Um, I had a lot of seizures as a baby, and there were several doctors and surgeons that told my parents to prepare that I wouldn't live past the age of 5. That it was a foregone conclusion that I would be dead at 5. I celebrate my 24th birthday in August. You can't tell me that there wasn't somebody there with his hand on that situation. And on top of that, with all the things I've gone through with the divorce and the abuse and everything, the fact that I'm not dead from suicide is testament to that as well.
Do you think you would go through? You would actually go through suicide? Did you have suicidal thoughts before?
Yes,
And what
I
stopped
have.
you?
I don't know. Sometimes it's been Tamray, but other times it's like there's been a third voice that's told me to put down the knife. And
So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
what sort of stopped me from having suicidal thoughts recently is because I now see the impact that I've made on certain people, and I now know um, what would happen if I did that. Um, because there's been a lot of people that have said, "You've saved my marriage." There's been a lot of people that have said, "I didn't go down this path. I could have died if I didn't listen to your advice." So, yeah.
When was the last time you had any suicidal thoughts?
Now, do you mean the physical planning or suicidal thoughts of I shouldn't be here?
Give me both.
The physical planning, it's been a while. The thought of I shouldn't be here last month.
And what triggered that thought?
There's just a lot of stuff and a lot of pressure that was building on me, just to the point where I couldn't take it. And there was some stuff with my nephews, and my sister was in this really hard like divorce situation. And my dad at the time was saying some bad things to me and everything. And Tamara and I were going through a lot of stress, and I just had the thought of maybe it would be better off if I just disappeared.
So you've obviously didn't do
No,
anything, and you obviously overcame those negative thoughts. How did you do that?
this is the family Bible. Sometimes not even reading it helps me. Just the presence. It's it's that, and it's my wife Tamray. Um, she's really done a lot in that area.
So, what would you tell someone who was having those ill thoughts, or someone who doesn't think that they're worthy enough, or someone who may think this world is better off without them? What would you tell them to help overcome those demons?
Watch the ripple is what I would say. Um, because itsy bitsy things that we do in my head causes ripples that lead to bigger things or lead to impact on a lot of people's lives. Um, a lot of I found that a lot of the people that share just a ton of funny memes without a ton of conversation have a lot of hurt behind that, and they share the meme. So if just putting the little laugh react face probably does a lot for their self-esteem. And if you were there to give that little inch of self-esteem to that person, then who knows what that person could have done. Most of these school shooters are bullied. One little act of kindness from any person could have stopped Sandy Hook, could have stopped the Las Vegas shooting, could have stopped. It's insane what a little just little thing can do. So nobody's insignificant.
So, I want you to get to this part of this video, which is about an hour and 2 hour, 3 minutes in. And I want you to record that small piece. And the next time you have any thoughts of selflessness or anything like that, I want you to play that back for yourself.
Thank you.
And I want you to understand that your life and your presence mean more than you understand. And like I told you before, you are light years ahead of where most people are at your age. And when you think your life is not worthy enough of its presence on this earth, I want you to go back and think of those things that you've accomplished, people that you inspire, and your personal beliefs and morals. And I want you to understand that you're much better than that negative thought at that moment, and whatever problems are mounting that's causing that pressure for you to feel that. I need you to understand that you're better than that, and you can kick that's ass 10 out of 10 times. And more importantly, I need you to know that you can reach out to myself or Vince or anyone, even if you have those thoughts for 20 seconds, 30 seconds. The idea is to get those thoughts completely out of your head. And as much as you lean on God, you know that there's many more positive things in life, many more things that you can achieve and inspire than the negative ones. I'll always say that in people's lives, whether they realize it or not, the pros will always outweigh the cons. And when you have that, there's more good than bad, there's more positive than negative. So keep that in mind. And if you ever get that feeling or those thoughts, please reach out, because a month ago is way too soon. So we're here for you. I'm here for you. And I need you to know that, because, and I don't want to say people rely on you, because I also think the burden of so many people relying on someone becomes cumbersome. So forget about people relying on you and what you mean to them. I need you to understand what you mean to yourself. All right?
Okay.
So know that we're always here for you, bud.
Thank you. So where's the porn questions?
Did you really want to answer the porn question?
I mean, we're going deep as it is, I guess.
I don't know that we'll get any deeper than we have already gone. But yeah, sure, why not? What's your favorite porn category? BBW and why?
MILF. Definitely MILF.
Interesting. You got to answer why.
Growing up, before Tamray, the ages of my 5 girlfriends go something like 45, 36, 32, 28, 31, 25.
So you love them older.
Yeah. But
How old is Tamray?
she's like 2 weeks younger than me.
Okay.
But I much prefer Tamray than any other older ever. Soon as I realized that I would be graduating college when their AARP benefits would go into effect, that pretty much turned it off.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Tamara will get impregnated on Halloween when she dresses up as an older woman and you just ravage her.
Old woman flight attendant, yes.
Oh, with Ryan flying the planes.
He
By the way, he had an awesome AMA.
Holy crap! I did not expect that to get as many comments as it did. Nothing against Ryan, but that got 700 comments in like 12 hours. That's insane.
I look past the comments and I look at the substance. And I've known Ryan on Facebook for 2 years, 3 years. I didn't know 60-70% of the shit that we found out, and I thought he was as interesting as a person I've ever met. So
yeah.
And the same for you. Like I said, I will continue to throw kudos your way, because I don't think you realize your greatness. At your age, where you're at is amazing, dude. And I will always tell you that, and I will always tell you can lean on me for support, for advice. You've reached out for tax questions and other things, and I will continue to tell you can do that. So please do. Brad just joined us, and Brad, you missed him answering your question, which was a good one. So you'll have to watch the whole thing.
Really good question.
Yeah. Can you cook?
Yeah.
And what do you cook when you watch MILF porn?
Probably fetuses of chickens. No.
Okay.
I don't cook anything when I watch porn. My hands are busy. No, I'm kidding.
You said hands. That's pretty impressive. You too.
What do I cook in general?
Yeah. What do you like to cook?
I love to barbecue. I've done ribs. I've done steaks. I've done. My favorite thing to make is Captain Crunch chicken.
Captain Crunch chicken, nice.
Yeah, it's you get Captain Crunch and you get some seasonings with a little bit of cayenne pepper and everything, and you cut the chicken into tenders and you obviously put them in oil. They're amazing.
Have you thrown a curveball and put crunch berries instead?
No.
Something to try. Is there any other question that you want to answer that I have not asked?
Let me look at the comments. Comments of the sheesh. Wow.
I love that Johnny appeared the minute we mentioned Trump.
Is that Johnny Gio Ortega?
Yeah, it is.
I want to apologize to him again because sorry, I'm looking at the comments to see. No, I think I'll. You know what? I'll do Home Depot or Lowe's.
Okay.
Or just I want to say that because I feel like Felipe's fishing a little bit because Lowe's is a very left company and Home Depot is a very right company.
Are they? I
Uh,
didn't even think of it that way.
well, a lot of people that pay attention to that, I think I think they contributed to the Trump campaign, and Home Depot is a conservative company, but that's not why I prefer them. Here in Phoenix, if you go to a Home Depot, chances are the employees will actually know what you're talking about, as opposed to Lowe's that, well, they don't, except for if
Okay.
you go to like Garden. So, but I didn't finish. I have to apologize to Johnny Gio Ortega. Uh, there was an exchange a while ago um, where I think it was on Ryan's AMA when I asked him who his favorite member is,
Hmm.
and he listed like a couple of others, and I'm like, oh, who has three names anyway? I didn't I didn't realize that his middle name is a tribute to his son that died, and I think that's the
Yeah.
most beautiful thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. So I need to apologize to him again for that.
No, I don't think Johnny took it personally. Johnny's one of the coolest people I've met, most passionate people I've met. Johnny's a good guy, and I can't wait for his AMA.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with people before we cut this?
No. Just that I'm an open book. If you haven't gotten on the AMA already, do it because I'm pretty open. So
Well, Corey, thank you for this. Thank you for doing it via video, which I know me and Vince were pushing you to do so, and I'm glad you've done so. And I think you will probably admit that you're glad you've done so as well.
yeah.
Um, we'll let you get back to answering the questions. And like I said before, always reach out, brother.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. This has been Corey Decker's AMA, June 13th. Take it easy.
You too.